Kevin Lafferty is arguably the best trainer to come out of Warrnambool. Tell us about his early days.
He was born in 1912, died in 1987, he was 75. He was an amateur rider, rode about 70 winners over jumps as an amateur. 13th of July, Friday the 13th of July it was, in 1934. He had a fall at the Findon Hunt Club and broke his leg, in which was later amputated at the hip. So he lost his right leg, 22 years old. Like a lot of other people in the 30s, wouldn't have had any money and probably didn't seem to have much hope. And he actually started a riding school at Hawthorn in Melbourne and taught pupils how to ride.
How did he come about training in Warrnambool?
Well, he lived all of his childhood life and schooling life in Port Fairy with your grandfather and great-grandfather, who he was very proud of. So he was from Port Fairy. He was always, as I said, he was an amateur rider, so he was always interested in horses. He came back here and he had a great passion for horses and get the enjoyment out of that over jumps and flat. In 1952, he won the Great Eastern treble. He won the Great Eastern, the Von Duser and the Harrody Young in Oakbank. He's the first and only trainer to do it ever. Then the next year he took on training full time and he did that until he retired in 1981. Johnny Williams, he was a great jumping jockey, he's still alive, he's over 80. He rode a Grand Annual winner for Dad, So Light. He was a good horse, So Light. He ran first, second and third in the Grand Annual, first, second and third in the Briley, as the old man used to say, not in 1 year though.
Unique situation, your father trained in Liebig Street.
He did. It's a main street in Warrnambool. He said he was the best trainer in Liebig Street, the only one. He trained all of his life from here. He was thinking about going to Geelong, but he thought he was a bit old at the time. The most horses he had in work was 18 in the 60s. The last decade of his training career, he probably averaged about 10. 2 years in a row in the 60s, he trained over 100 winners a season, which is pretty good effort with 18 horses.
He had an amazing training record with jumpers.
Trained 3 Grand Annual winners, trained the Quinella in a Grand Annual 1 year, trained 7 Briley winners, trifected the Briley 1 year. He trained 9 successive jumping winners in the 50s.
It's a terrific thing that the Warrnambool Racing Club has honoured Kevin in many ways.
Before he retired actually, they actually called a race after him. They've got the Lafferty hurdle now, which he's very proud of. He's obviously deceased, but he's very proud of. But they called a Lafferty handicap, and they had it as the second leg of the double on Warrnambool and May races that started when he was alive. He was very proud of that because he said mostly if you ever get a race named after you, you're normally dead, which happened to the hurdle. But they had the first Lafferty handicap at the May races in 1978, I think it was, and he happened to win the Warrnambool Cup with Pure Macca same day. So we've got a street after him in Bar and now a hurdle race, which is they're very honoured and grateful, really, the family.